Welcome, everyone. Today is Tuesday, November 15th, 2002. It is 5:30 approximately. My name is Ari Parker, and I am the mayor of Watsonville, and we will begin with roll call.
Dutra. Estrada.
Here.
Garcia.
Here.
Hurst.
Here.
Montesino.
Here.
Quiroz Carter.
Here.
And Parker.
Here.
We have quorum.
Thank you very much. So we're going to start with an introduction of new employees and a recognition of retirees. So we have three different departments: Parks, CDD, and IT. We'll begin with Director Kalabakian. Oh. That's right. Only took me a whole year, but yes, right. Thank you.
Nick Kalabakian, and I'm the Parks and Community Services Director for the City of Watsonville. It's my pleasure to introduce to you two brand new recreation specialists. They both started yesterday. Come on down. I'm going to introduce you first to Patty Zendejas. Patty has actually worked for us for a couple of years, in a temporary part-time capacity, but just yesterday started as a brand new full-time employee working out of our senior center on 5th Street. She's been a great add to the team since she's been out at the senior center, and prior to that, helped in a number of different capacities, helping with the census way back in 2020, feels like ages ago. But she helped kind of move door to door to get people to fill out the census and help with that effort. And then transitioned to helping get a large portion of our community vaccinated. She was Katie's right-hand person in working with our seniors and with the whole community in getting that up and running, and was really instrumental in making that happen. So she's currently a student at Cabrillo, and like I said, started working for the city back in 2020. Let's see here. Was born in Watsonville, and some of her hobbies include reading, baking, and walking her dogs on the trails. And she loves working at the senior center. The seniors love her as well. And again, it's been great to have her. So welcome officially to the full-time team, Patty. Want to say anything?
Well, I just want to give thanks to City of Watsonville for this opportunity and for all my colleagues, especially Nick and all the city members and city staff.
Yeah. Welcome. All
right, and the second recreation specialist introducing tonight is Ellie Shea. Ellie comes to us. She has a BA in art and psychology from UC Santa Cruz, and has worked for over 5 years in a number of different recreation programs and cities as well, from everything from preschool to after school, teen centers, summer camps, and special events throughout the Bay Area and Santa Cruz. Most recently, she comes to us from the cities of Cupertino and Fremont, where she worked part-time for both cities, and is now joining our team in a full-time capacity. And some of her hobbies include baking, crafts, taking her dog on walks along West Cliff, and she's super, super excited to get involved and get to know the Watsonville community that much more. So welcome, Ellie.
Welcome.
Hello, I am Ellie. Just very excited to be here, as Nick said, and grateful and thankful for this opportunity, here to learn and to grow, and be here to support in any way I possibly can. So thank you.
Welcome. All right. Our next department would be our CDD by, I think she's in the room, Director Susie Merriam. She has a come on down thing going on.
Okay. I'm going to bring my new employees next month. But I've got an old employee to honor tonight. Not that she's old. All right. Let's see. So I've got Deborah Muniz here. She started working at the City of Watsonville, enjoy, as a public works secretary in January of 1990. That was my last year of high school. In 1999, Deborah was reclassified to work as an administrative secretary and split her time between public works and community development. She did that for a few years and then finally moved to CDD in full time somewhere in like 2002, 2003. At which time she was promoted to executive secretary, a role that she has been in until today. And Deborah will be, her last day of work is going to be next Wednesday, right before Thanksgiving, and then she'll be officially retiring at the end of the year. As you can see on your screen, in 2011, we had a small wedding ceremony right before our Employees Association Awards dinner. She married her longtime love, Alex Munoz, in a very small ceremony that was officiated by Marcela Tavances. I believe this is probably the only wedding that has occurred at an Employees Association event thus far, but you know, there's still time. Deborah's one of those people that you can depend on in any situation, which has made her an invaluable member of our department. There are so many deadlines that we have to meet, as well as details that we have to pay attention to, and it's fallen on her to herd us cats in the department to remind us to get our reports in, all our attachments correct, get our timesheets in on time and correct, which I did not do this week. And to remember everyone's birthdays, to get the bills paid, and all the supplies ordered. If I were in her position, I'd probably be a little bit neurotic and stressed out, but Deb has this really keen, even keel. She just plugs away, refers to all the checklists, and keeps our department running. It's really hard to fathom what our department's going to be like after Wednesday when we come back from Thanksgiving break and you're not there. But you're that familiar smiling face that, you know, we see every day in the department, and you're one of the family. And I hope that moving forward, you still come to all of our events and stay connected. I wish you all the best in your retirement. I hope that you enjoy every single day, knowing that there's a lot of us here at the city that can't wait to do the same. No. No, I really, you deserve to really enjoy this next chapter in your life, and I hope that you do. I wish you all the best, and we'll miss you. Thank you. I don't know if you want to say anything.
Oh, I'll say a few words. Is this thing, is this on?
Done.
Thank you, Susie. That was very touching. I didn't expect the slideshow at all. I was very surprised by that. But I just wanted to thank the city for giving me the opportunity to come and work for them and serve this community. And it's been a journey. And I just thank all my coworkers. They've all been very supportive and caring and encouraging. And some of them are here tonight, which I appreciate their being here present tonight. And I look forward to this next chapter of my life, which I'm looking forward to enjoy. And thank you.
Thank you so much for putting up with Susie all those years. All right, lastly, we have from IT, Brandon Gill.
Hello, I am Brandon Gill. I'm the IT director. I'm here to introduce our IT Analyst 1, Humberto Zamora. He comes to us from school districts. He worked with the Salinas School District in Salinas and in Gilroy, and most recently from Granite Rock down at the quarry. And we were able to get him here, and he's been here for a week, and he's going to be supporting the library, and he's been doing a great job so far.
Wonderful.
Welcome.
Thank you. It's going to be a pleasure working here. I mean, working for the city that I grew up in, and, you know, seeing what gets thrown our way and, an extra lending hand here. So glad to be working with everybody here and, thank you again for the opportunity.
Well, now that we all know your name, be careful.
I know.
Thank you, welcome. All right, we're going to be moving into closed session at this time, and we should be back at 6:30. Thank you very much. We'll see you then. Oh, I'll take any public comments regarding the closed session agenda at this time, if there are any public comments. Okay, seeing none, we will convene in closed session. Welcome, everyone. It's Tuesday, November 15th, and it is 6:32 p.m. My name is Ari Parker. I'm the mayor of Watsonville, and I am bringing our meeting back to order after closed session. And could we have roll call, please?
Dutra. Estrada.
Here.
Garcia.
Here.
Hurst.
Here.
Montesino. Quiroz Carter.
Here.
And Parker.
Here.
We have quorum.
Thank you. Do we need a motion to excuse any absent council members at this time?
Well, Jimmy's not here,
Yes, that is correct.
so can we excuse him?
Well, you'd have to make a motion.
I move to excuse Jimmy.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Estrada. Garcia.
Aye.
Hurst.
Aye.
Quiroz Carter.
Aye.
And Parker.
Aye.
The motion carries.
Thank you. All right. We're going to actually move to the Pledge of Allegiance. I would like to call upon our students who have been shadowing us today. Sabrina, if you could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Somebody could turn on. I'll join you. Please stand. Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible. I know, she said, please don't make me talk, and I made her talk. So we're moving on to report of disbursements. That's 7A, 7B, miscellaneous documents report. And 7C was conference attendance written reports from council members. We had a written report from council members Dutra, Garcia, Hurst, and Quiroz Carter regarding their attendance of the California League of Cities Conference and Expo 2022, as required by AB 1234. And these written reports by council members regarding actions taken on their regional commission, board meetings that may affect the city of Watsonville, if any, and I hope council's had an opportunity to peruse that. So we're going to change the order of our agenda slightly. We're going to move a presentation, 9A, to after 8A. So it will become 8B. So we're going to have an introduction of our community leaders for a day participants, and then we will have a presentation by Chief of Police Zamora regarding the Ad Hoc Committee on Policing and Social Equity. The reasoning for that is it is a presentation only, and if people want to make comment, they can do that during oral communications from the public, and they will have an opportunity there. Okay, so right. The oral communications will go after. Oh, no, I was moving it up. Is that okay? I was just going to move it up. And then we'll do all the rest of it as we go. So as we move forward, we have an introduction of our community leader for a day participants. We had a few more. It's been a long day, and two of our participants have been able to stay. Shadowing me for this opportunity is Sabrina Hernandez, if you could stand up so they know who you are. And she is a senior at Watsonville High School. So I would love to give you the opportunity to say something. I'm going to introduce you, and then I'm going to introduce Janie, and then you guys will turn on their microphones over there. Great. And then we have Janie Gutierrez, who is also a senior at Watsonville High School. And here's Janie. And she has been shadowing our city manager, Renee Mendez. We had two other students with us today, Isabella Brandon from Pajaro Valley High School. She was a sophomore, and she shadowed Mayor Pro Tem Eduardo Montesino. And Ellie Romero, he is a sophomore, I believe. Is that correct? From Watsonville High School, and he shadowed Vanessa Quiroz Carter And then we had Daisy Delgado as well, who was supposed to shadow Vanessa, and Lowell Hurst had Ellie Romero, and they were delightful. We took them all over the place, and we tuckered them out, right? A little bit? A little bit. So would you like to address everybody, just a short, something about you learned today, or something you liked, or something you want to explore more of?
Well, today we learned about like everything in the city. For example, the fire station. We got a tour, and then also we went to the police station, and then we also went to.
Well, Janie, you can jump in. There you go. Microphone.
Opportunity to just walk around.
Equally exciting and boring at the same time, right?
A lot of walking.
I know. Well, we thank you for your time that you've given us, and joining us for dinner, and all the questions you've had to answer from all of us. So we do appreciate that. Do we have any other comments from our council? Councilman Hurst?
I would just say what a joy it is to be with the students in the afternoon. You know, I kind of miss my teaching days, but then again, sometimes I don't. But it was really nice to be with the 4 or 5 of the students this afternoon, and just to be in their company and to hear their questions and see their eyes light up, and also see them want to take a nap sometimes.
That's
So,
right.
Thank you very
That's
much
right.
for spending your entire afternoon with us.
Yes.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Garcia?
Yes, I had 2 students, one from Aptos High School and one from Watsonville High School, shadow me on October the 7th. And unfortunately, they had other commitments today, and so they could not spend the day with us again this afternoon. But again, at least one of them said, I learned so much about the city that he was excited about learning even more. So maybe at another time, he'll be able to participate again.
Anyone else would like to make final comment? Councilwoman Kiddos Carter?
I just want to echo Councilman Hurst's sentiments. We loved having you all here. And I just really want to commend these young people, because every single one of them said that they wanted to make their community a stronger,
Yes, they
better
did.
place,
Yeah.
and that they wanted to give back. So that was just really wonderful for me to hear. And we have these young people who are doing incredible things and have really high goals. And just know that your community will support you. And we're really lucky to have you. So thank you.
Yeah, and thank you very much. I thoroughly enjoyed getting to know you. And who knows, we'll make volunteers at the city out of you yet. Okay, so moving on, we're going to move up to reports to council. Presentation by Chief of Police Zamora regarding the Ad Hoc Committee of Policing and Social Equity. Welcome, Chief. And thank you for your time for all of us this afternoon. We had a wonderful time, and it was a great experience.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, Council, members of the public. Buenas noches a todos. Jorge Zamora, Watsonville Police Chief. And before I start, maybe my partners here can introduce themselves as well.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Meredith Flores, and I am the program coordinator for the multidisciplinary team at the Watsonville Police Department.
Good evening. My name is Patricia Mata, and I'm the community service analyst for the Watsonville Police Department.
Good evening, my name is Emilia Andrade. Buenas noches, me llamo Emilia Andrade. I'm the youth specialist for the Caminos hacia el Éxito Pathways to Success program.
All righty, thank you. Actually, before I get started, the ad hoc committee on Policing and Social Equity, the recommendations that we're going to be reading today and talking about, a lot of them tend to kind of collide with each other in a way, because they really match up with a lot of the work that we're doing. So I just ask you to be patient, because some of the things might seem like they're repetitive, but they really do align with a lot of the different recommendations. So with that, we'll start. The first recommendation, we'll start off with the short-term recommendations, and the first one is that the ad hoc committee recommended that the City of Watsonville commit to collaborating with Santa Cruz Mental Health and other partners to develop a shared, comprehensive, multi-jurisdictional mental health services plan to enhance the coordination and quality care and response. So I'll begin with the Crisis Assessment and Response and Engagement Team, which is known as the CARE Team. So the team was established back in 2016. The program is comprised of 1 full-time police officer and 1 full-time mental health clinician. This is the only co-responder model in the county. And as a team, they respond to calls for, as a team, they respond to calls of mental health or people suffering from mental health illness, but then they also respond to homeless calls. And what we have found is that that mental health and homeless kind of a lot of times go hand in hand. When we first started the CARE Team program, we considered having a clinician work with a variety of officers rather than just being assigned to one. That's what some other agencies have done, but we really felt that the co-responder model would better serve our mental health community, because in our community, the people who suffer from untreated mental health and late-stage addiction require a different approach than, say, the single mother living out in their car or the hidden homeless, like a juvenile. Some of the benefits of the CARE Team is that our CARE Team can connect with higher needs, mentally ill population, and it does a few things. So the people in need get to engage with the same officer and clinician on a regular basis. The CARE Team has a deeper understanding and background of the individuals, their history, and their needs. There's rapport building that occurs with the clients, but more specifically with the family members, who are usually the ones calling the CARE Team to provide services. They have a closer relationship with doctors, and other clinicians who come into contact with the CARE Team's clients. And what that does is when they communicate, they're better able to develop a treatment plan for that individual. Additionally, our officers are exposed to the mental health service world, and they learn about other nonprofits or services that they may have not known about if the clinician was not there. They also receive informal training and updates of briefings. And when I asked the CARE Team members what the drawbacks were, the only thing that they told me was that they are not a 24-hour, 7 days a week team. Now, we did explore other models and had several discussions on this topic, and learned about models like the CAHOOTS, which is a 24/7 immediate stabilization of persons during medical emergency or psychiatric crisis. They do assessment and referrals or advocacy. Outside of our CARE Team being a 24/7 response and immediate medical care, our CARE Team already provides psychiatric crisis assessment, referrals, and advocacy. When needed, medical emergencies are treated by an ambulance, which is AMR, or the fire department. Since the inception of the CARE Team, I learned not too long ago that the NYPD contacted us, and they have started their own co-responder model based on what we were doing here in Watsonville. San Jose Police Department has also reached out to us, and it's my understanding that Hollister and Gilroy are also, they also have interest in our model. And I learned a few days ago that Philadelphia Police Department is also looking at the co-responder model. So for us, it's been beneficial in that sense. With that, we'll move to recommendation number 2.
Recommendation number 2, the ad hoc committee recommends that the City of Watsonville explore establishing a process for police oversight that ensures accountability. The ad hoc committee recommends the following. A, develop a formal process for police oversight by working with experts and oversight models to structure the best process for the City of Watsonville. And B, develop ongoing community oversight of the recommendations provided by the ad hoc committee.
Our current practice. When a complaint is received, a supervisor reviews the complaint and prepares a written summary of the complaint. The complaint is then funneled to our professional standards division, where it is reviewed by a captain. If an internal investigation is initiated, the professional standards captain will investigate the allegation or assign it to the professional standards sergeant. Minor complaints against an officer can also be assigned to be investigated by the respective division captain, whether that be patrol, special operations, or our new community engagement, or our new community services division. The final investigation is reviewed by the professional standards captain, and lastly, the assistant chief is one of the final review points of all administrative investigations. He also conducts a separate review of the analysis and the investigations. All investigations are reviewed by the chief of police and the disciplinary review panel, which is comprised of all command staff and the supervisor of the person which the complaint was made on. If we believe that there is that there is a conflict of interest in the incident, we will contract with an outside source to conduct the investigation. These cases are often egregious in nature, to include sexual misconduct or internal mistreatment of employees. So that is our current practice. The independent auditor. Moving forward, our goal is to utilize the Office of Independent Review, also known as the OIR Group, which has nationally recognized experts on law enforcement reform and accountability systems. OIR works with local governments, community members, and police agencies to address contemporary challenges and collaborate on sustainable reforms. The organization currently provides audits to the Santa Cruz Police Department at the direction of the city manager's office. It is our hope that the City of Watsonville enters into a contract with OIR by the end of February 2023 or sooner if we are able to. The OIR Group has assisted law enforcement entities throughout the country with constitutional policing issues, critical incident reviews, internal affairs investigations, and design of effective oversight mechanisms. The OIR Group has become a resource for numerous California cities grappling with officer-involved shootings and other critical incidents. As I had mentioned before, this independent police review group currently works with the Santa Cruz Police Department and has a local expert who can better understand our community needs. This service would be ongoing, and a presentation on the Watsonville Police Department's performance would be provided every year to the city manager and to the city council. The Chief's Advisory Board. As a newly appointed chief, I am in the beginning stages of developing an advisory committee made up of community leaders. The goal would be to convene on a quarterly basis as needed, to review and discuss critical issues facing the department and the community. The Chief's Advisory Board model is being used by many police organizations across the state and has proved to be successful to help police chiefs understand the concerns of the community. The Chief's Advisory Board is established under the direction of the police chief. This board is intended to provide a forum for discussions concerning community concerns, and the goal is to have a broad spectrum of viewpoints represented. Members of the board will include seniors, educators, community members, faith-based organizations, nonprofits, and business owners. The board will also have the opportunity to be aware and understand how the police department polices problems in the community. They'll have the ability to participate in ride-alongs and learn how and what training is provided to officers and how we hire police officers and professional staff. The police department is committed to the ideology of community policing. To that end, the mission of the Chiefs Advisory Board is to act as a resource for the Chief of Police in the formation of strategies, development of policing concepts, increasing public awareness regarding policy issues. The board acts solely as an advisory capacity and will be driven by the creativity and the vision of its members. It is intended to be the expression of the Watsonville community viewpoints. To carry out its purpose, the board will address overcoming problems associated with policing, with police community relations, the improvement of the Watsonville Police Department operations, and the public safety issues in order to further enhance the quality of life of our community. The group will act as a sounding board for the chief regarding community needs and concerns. It will keep the chief apprised of the community needs and it will require commitment. Commitment to the board does not mean that the group will have the power or authority to investigate, review, or otherwise participate in matters involving specific police personnel or specific police-related incidents. It will not receive or review complaints against personnel of the Watsonville Police Department, nor play a role in civil or criminal litigation. The board will also focus on contemporary challenges, which include the following examples: use of force, mental health response, criminal activity trends, transparency, homelessness, technology, community outreach and engagement, crime prevention, and neighborhood programs. In essence, the committee's composition will be different people with different points of views who are seeing different parts of the problem and then coming together to see something that individually none of us see. What's important with this group is that I have to be prepared to be wrong. I have to challenge my own mental models, and I have to hold my truth as contingent, not definitive. And the group has to do the same. Those are the first steps to begin to discern non-obvious of real leverage. My aim is to have the selection process for this board begin January of 2023. There will be an application process that will measure the individual's commitment to the board and to our community. I'm hoping that our first meeting will be in March. Initially, the board will meet every month and then quarterly as community concerns arise. Recommendation number 3 was to develop programs and services that keep youth from becoming police involved, as well as stopping deeper involvement in the criminal justice system. In order to achieve this goal, it is recommended that the City of Watsonville increase its investments in youth and family-centered programs. I see one of those programs here today with the youth from the high school here, shadowing our City Council. The multidisciplinary team, also known as the MDT. Our community continues to experience incidents of violent crimes and traumatic events. These incidents have included homicides, femicides, suicides, vehicle fatalities, sexual assaults, and infant deaths. These tragic life events deliver a tremendous amount of trauma to our families. When trauma is not treated properly, it has the potential to ruin a person's life by manifesting into behaviors such as depression, anxiety, addiction to drugs and alcohol, and criminal behavior. These problems continue to rise in our community. They are challenging to address and require constant maintenance. It also requires collective thought and action with our community partners. The MDT's group composition is made up of social workers, educators, mental health professionals, police, probation, and nonprofits that work together to promote positive behavior and reduce violence and treat trauma to families in Watsonville. Police officers are met with traumatic incidents on a regular basis. While officers are compassionate with the people that are impacted by these tragic life events, we recognize that survivors cannot begin to heal solely by talking with a police officer. The implementation of the MDT allows the officer to provide a warm handoff to Meredith Flores, our program coordinator.
Good evening again, everyone. My name is Meredith, and I am the program coordinator. So the implementation of the MDT allows for warm handoff from officers to myself, as the chief said. However, referrals are both internal and external, so community members can self-refer as well. Initially, after a report comes in, I make contact with the individual or the family over the phone, and that's just to kind of explain to them why I'm calling, who I am, and the services that we provide. And then if they are open to talking a little bit more, the goal is to always meet them in person. So aside from support, I also screen and then refer, and then I do follow up after the coordination has been made. Within the MDT, I do practice trauma-informed care, and I meet the clients where they're at. I'm aware that some of the clients do not feel comfortable coming to the police department, and if that's the case, we find alternatives wherever they feel safe to talk about whatever traumatic event they've been through. That could be a home. I've definitely done some home visits. It could be at PVPSA. They offer and they have helped out with the counseling rooms, or it could be at a coffee shop. It really depends where they're at, as long as the client or the individual feels safe. As the chief mentioned, when trauma goes unresolved, it can lead to a lot of other problems. Many studies and data shows that unresolved trauma can lead to increased risk for mental health diagnosis. And then exposure to traumatic events, especially during childhood, can also lead to damaging behaviors in the future. These are known as adverse childhood experiences, and that can lead to poor decision-making and substance use disorder. The goal of the MDT is really to provide support services for residents in the city of Watsonville by addressing the trauma for youth and adults. It could reduce them from becoming involved in the criminal justice system. I just started this position in July of 2022, and since then we have made contact with over 75 individuals. Some people some people accept services, some people a little bit. I wouldn't say afraid, but for other reasons they don't feel comfortable yet. But we're planting that seed to all these people, letting them know that whenever they are ready, services are available. Since July, 60 people have accepted mental health referrals, and what I've noticed is that a lot of the referrals go to mental health counseling. We partnered with PVPSA, CAB, and Monarch Services, and out of all those three agencies, mental health counseling services is the one that's needed, and that's the biggest kind of need in the community that I've seen so far. A lot of the cases range from vehicle fatalities, sexual abuse, intimate partner violence, and it's proven to be a pretty important program so far in its short time. With that being said, I would like to introduce my colleague, Emily, who will be talking about Caminos hacia el Éxito.
Thank you, Meredith, and good evening again. I just wanted to share a little bit of history about the Caminos program. Back in 2010-2011, we discovered that over 40% of youth arrested in Santa Cruz County were Watsonville youth. This was a problem that needed to be addressed, so the Watsonville Police Department partnered with local nonprofits to create the Caminos hacia el Éxito Pathways to Success program. It was designed to provide an immediate response. Caminos is a youth diversion program offered to eligible youth who commit a first-time offense misdemeanor within Watsonville city limits between ages 12 to 17. Upon the initial referral, the youth specialist, myself, immediately contacts the family to offer the program the services. And at that initial meeting, I'm able to assess where the family is and where the youth needs are, in which I can make the most appropriate referral to our program partners, depending on their needs. The average time in the program is 3 months. While this might not seem like a lot, it's an intense 3 months. Please note that our program is optional. Youth and parents are not forced to participate. However, they are highly encouraged to participate to go through our as opposed to transferring the case to the Santa Cruz County Probation Department. Through our program, our goal is to improve the juvenile justice system by reducing youth involvement in the legal system and to keep them away from reoffending by providing that immediate response. But we're also holding the youth accountable for their actions, giving them that second opportunity, and allowing them to reflect on their choices and their situation. We also want to connect the youth and family to the services as needed and things that we're able to identify later on. Lastly, we want to give the youth and families additional tools that they can use in the future to overcome challenges. Caminos does use evidence-based approaches to hold them accountable for their actions, and the youth who agree to participate in our program do complete a certain amount of requirements, which is community service hours at local nonprofits such as Jacob's Heart, Pajaro Loaves and Fishes, the Santa Cruz County Harvest Food Bank. They're also able to accept counseling services as needed, and as requested, we can make that referral to our partners, PVPSA. They also participate in pro-social hours through our program, Watsonville Police Activities League, or if they're playing sports, we also consider that, but we want our youth to be engaging in positive activities and meeting new people, building relationships with mentors, finding that mentor. And our youth are not alone throughout this process. They're also working with a case manager on a weekly basis to ensure that that all their needs are being addressed, but that they're also following through with their program expectations, because we want them to be successful at the end of the day. So we're going to give them all the tools, and if it comes to transportation, if we need to take them to do their community service hours, we want to limit all the barriers that can come across, so we are there to help the youth and the families, so help them be successful. And the parents are also participating in a parenting series that could be 5 to 8 weeks, called either Strengthening Families or Guiding Good Choices, where they get to sit down and learn about topics such as communication styles, healthy relationships. So they get to learn a specific topic each week in which they can practice with the youth on site. And then I do want to highlight that it's important to have our strong collaborations within our program partners to ensure the success of the youth and families, but also the importance of consistent follow-through, which allows to establish rapport with the families and creates trust. Our partners, Pajaro Valley Prevention and Student Assistance, Team Peer Court, Neighborhood Accountability Board, and the Watsonville Police Activities League all play a huge role within the youth and the families we come in contact with. And since the program started in 2012, 533 youth have accepted to participate in the program. 83% of youth successfully completed the program. 91% did not reoffend within 6 months of completing the program. 87% did not reoffend within a year of completing the program. And all of these youth have attributed 20,891 community service hours to the city of Watsonville. And 338 parents have completed a parenting series that is evidence-based. It's important to give our youth opportunities and after, and we know sometimes they don't know who to ask, and we want to be that person that they can call. And if we don't have the answer for them, we find the answer and we find the person that can help them. Before I end, I would like to share a somewhat short reflection essay from a youth and highlight the importance of programs like Caminos. I'm going to read an essay that they were willing to share. So it starts, I'm not sure on how to start this letter, but I want to start off by saying I'm thankful for this great program that has helped me in multiple ways throughout these past months. I have learned very much from this experience because it helped me understand more that parents will always be the number one person who's going to help you through everything, no matter what. I'm going to be honest and say that I maybe would take some things for granted, but as I was in this program helping the community, I saw that I'm very lucky to live the life I live, and I shouldn't be making these kind of mistakes or accidents. When I first started this program, I honestly thought it wasn't going to help me because I thought my life was over because I made a big mistake. But talking to my mom, family members, and of course Maria and Emily, I realized that if I worked hard enough, I could have a restart and make better decisions in life. When I first went to do community service hours, I wasn't sure of what to expect because it was my first time getting involved. with the community, and I saw that there's so many people willing to help. I actually had helped the community before. I would go out to clean and pick up trash, which I actually enjoyed. I've done more than just community service hours. I've attended meetings that help me get more information of awareness of not drinking and driving and the consequences and helpful advice. I first went to Loaves and Fishes, and I didn't know what it was until I got there. I saw that they would feed the people most in need and would give out vegetables and fruits, etc. And I realized they even have helped my family out. So I did my part of helping the cooks and wash dishes, and it felt good because I knew that this food was going to people who was in need and for workers. I'm also currently attending Jacob's Heart. I really liked helping out here because I know that it's all for the children and families going through not the best time. I helped decorate grocery bags for the families and kids so they could pick up food with a nice little bag. I've also had this wonderful experience where I got to make birthday cards for every birthday boy and girl for a month. I really enjoyed doing this for them because I knew the kids would like to receive a nice birthday card. I was also really surprised to see how many people help out in their own ways all around California. I also really enjoyed the family night meetings because I felt like I got closer to my mom because I spent time with her doing art and talking about topics. I had a really good time with my mom and family members. It has been a really great experience so far. It's helped me understand things more differently. I can say that it has changed me as a person. I can see there's more to life than just messing around and that I need to think before making big decisions. For example, I shouldn't ever drink and drive. I will always see this as my second opportunity to do things right for myself and the future. I'm also really excited to go to the field trip that's going to happen this Saturday. To what I know, we're going to go see a football game. I've never actually gone to a game like that, and I hope I have a really good time. And before I finish off this essay, I do want to highlight the importance of giving new opportunities to a youth. Some of our local youth have never been out of Watsonville because our families do have some financial challenges. But I just want to end what he shared is I had a really good time at the soccer game I went to because it was my first time that I've ever been to one, and I really liked it. I thought that the stadium was really big and pretty. We had this lady who showed us around the stadium and gave us some information about it. We went to see San Jose Earthquakes game. This game was really good. There were some really great players. That score was tied. After the game, we got onto the field and we took a group picture, which was really nice. I feel like the ride was kind of long because I was kind of tired. We got to San Jose around 5:30 and we ate some burgers. I actually met some new people and some people I already knew. After all, I had a really fun time and I'm thankful I got to live this great experience. Thank you.
Thank you. The Caminos program is really successful because of Emily and Maria, who's not here, and Lola, who isn't here. They really put their hearts into this, and they get to know the families. So I'm very impressed by the work that they do, and they really do it from the heart. The other, I'll talk about real quick about some of the other stuff that we're doing. After the last homicide and some other incidents, Jasmine Najera, who is the new CEO at PVPSA, convened a group now called the Community Violence and Healing Group. And this group is made up of local agencies, and we've been meeting on a regular basis to hold space for the intention of collaborative communication and working together to create opportunities and solutions for youth in our community. I'm really thankful that Dr. Ferris Sabal was part of this group because he sought me out and really wanted to reignite the Boston model back in South County, what used to do. It started back in the 90s, and I'm just really grateful for him because over the past few years, violent crime has incrementally gone up in Watsonville, specifically gang-motivated crime, as many of us have seen. And as a response to this, we have joined our leaders in education, the PVPSA, Santa Cruz County Probation Department to collectively interrupt criminal activity, but more importantly, improve the lives of the people involved in these incidents, specifically youth. Now, BASTA was formed, like I said, in the 1990s as an effort to curb gang-motivated crime. And the goal back then was, that the meaning basta, which is Spanish for enough, back then stood for broad-based apprehension, suppression, treatment, and alternatives. Well, fast forward into now, BASTA means broad-based accountability, support, treatment, and alternatives. The new BASTA model, I believe, is going to be very effective, and I think it's going to open the doors to the youth and police dialogues that we had just prior to COVID, and those were very effective. And our hope is to assign an officer to this program, because I really do think it's going to be something great for our youth and our community. And I think Patty's going to be talking about the police cadets.
The Watsonville Police Cadet Program operates under the sponsorship of the Watsonville Police Department and the Boy Scouts of America. Participants are between the ages of 14 and 20 years old. A police sergeant, 5 police officers, 3 professional staff serve as mentors and supervise the cadets throughout the program. The program provides young people with the opportunity to explore the law enforcement field as a possible career choice. Cadets are rotated through a variety of divisions to experience the many aspects of law enforcement. They've also taken on several different roles during community events and serve as a liaison between the police department and other youth in the community. The cadet program is currently at full capacity with 29 youth enrolled in the program. Since June of 2022 of this year, the cadets have dedicated close to 2,000 hours to the program and the community. They participated in various community events such as the Strawberry Festival, Aromas Day, Day of the Dead at Valley Public Cemetery, and the 4th of July Parade. They've also participated in various trainings such as Introduction to Patrol, the fundamentals of traffic stops, the use of radio traffic, fundamentals of marching information, physical training, and also still continue to attend weekly program meetings. In addition to the Watsonville Police Cadet Program, we also hosted our first annual Youth Academy in June, which took place June 13th through June 17th. The objective of the first annual Youth Academy was to create an opportunity for Watsonville youth to learn how the Watsonville Police Department operates, gain knowledge, and explore law enforcement career options. Our goals were to create a safe environment for youth to engage in pro-social, educational, and recreational activities during the summer, for youth to gain an understanding of various roles and responsibilities of officers and professional staff from the Watsonville Police Department and other law enforcement agencies, and to promote teamwork, positive self-esteem, and provide an opportunity to build positive relationships. 17 youth participated in the academy between the ages of 12 to 20 years old. Academy participants included former and incoming cadets, former Caminos youth, and youth referred by PBPSA. Youth who expressed an interest in becoming a police officer or an interest in an overall career in law enforcement, and who also demonstrated a desire and motivation to learn more about the Watsonville Police Department were invited to participate in the academy. And I'll turn it over to Chief.
One of the things that I really hit home with me with the Youth Academy and the police cadets is that we have youth who thought they could not be part of the police department because they were undocumented. Let me be clear, we are not immigration, and we welcome those youth, and they are just amazing, amazing people. So thank you for that.
The recommendation 4, the City of Watsonville should conduct a professional assessment of the current police department budget and operations to determine if the current level of funding and range of services is sufficient to meet community needs, and to determine if funding or services allocated for police could be restructured either within the department itself or to other programs in the city budget.
So we are still in the process of selecting an organization to conduct a comprehensive assessment of the police department that will include staffing, workload, response times, use of force, incidents, internal affairs operations, the complaint intake and investigations, training, accountability, and community needs. We reached out to 3 professional organizations to conduct the assessment. We have consulted with 2 of the 3 organizations, and only one of those provides what we believe is a true assessment of the police department, meaning one company is specific to internal needs, while the other examines internal and external needs with a component of community input. We plan to do the assessment first, and then that will be followed up by the assessment of a budget review. It's important to learn and understand what it is that we need and want as an organization, as a community, as a city before we look at the budget. Recommendation 5, I believe this is a 2-part recommendation. Training. The ad hoc recommends that the Watsonville Police Department continue to augment the amount of training received by officers beyond the state-mandated post-training. The committee is particularly interested in ensuring that officers receive discretionary training that supports officers' ability to respond to community needs. The recommended training included mental illness, de-escalation, implicit bias, trauma-informed care, stress management, diversity training, ethics, civil rights, and a consultant to review the intake training on ongoing training and hiring practices. The assessment that I talked about earlier would explore some of these issues or some of these topics, specifically hiring, training, and hiring. Yeah, that's it. So in relation to training, so responding to the community appropriately and placing people at ease is very important to us. Currently, our Professional Standards Division runs all of our training, sets up our training, and they are exploring training opportunities outside the state mandated training. We are specifically looking at stress management, trauma-informed care, diversity training, ethics, civil rights, and the Chiefs Advisory Board may play a role in recommending training opportunities. And one thing I want to say about training is we only have 8 days a year for department-wide training. Now, we can send officers to training during their regular work schedule, but then that impacts the shifts, impacts staffing. So it can get kind of tricky. And there are some trainings that are just mandated by the state that we have to get done. So I just want to put that out there. Some of the training that just about all of the officers have, with the exception of the new hires, is principal policing, de-escalation, mental health and resiliency, response to calls involving students with special needs. We are looking into gender and sexual diversity trainings. And my hope is that the assessment, when they look at our training, they'll be able to perhaps provide a better roadmap to trainings that we are not necessarily used to attending. Oh, and then Meredith is scheduled to attend a 3-day trauma-informed care Train the Trainer in November. And this workshop is facilitated by the Crisis and Trauma Resource Institute. And once she becomes certified, she'll be able to provide a workshop for our officers and train them about personnel, or train our officers about trauma-informed care practices, which I think is really good because she can go into the roll calls or into briefings and provide formalized training, and we don't have to lose officers if we send them away to a training. And in regards to hiring, Peace Officer Standards and Training, which is the state agency that governs what we do, they're the ones who conduct audits of our hiring practices and ensure that we're in compliance with backgrounds and such. But there are organizations out there that I'm looking at or trying to find if to just really look at the assessment and our practices outside of what POST is asking of us. So recommendation number 6. The ad hoc recommends that the Watsonville Police Department engage in a data-driven process that includes experts other than police departments and the community to determine if community service officers could be utilized more broadly at the Watsonville Police Department. So I'll touch on that one first. Our police department has 2 police service specialists, which is the equivalent to a community service officer. The police service specialists are non-armed, and these are employees who respond to non-emergency calls for service, collect evidence, and investigate crimes with little to no suspect information. Currently, the police department has 2 police service specialists. At one point, we had 4. Expanding their work duties would require a renegotiation with their bargaining unit and approval from the Personnel Commission as well as the City Council. Move on to the next recommendation, is using expert support to evaluate social equity in self-initiated traffic stops by the Watsonville Police Department. We have not begun the process to find an expert to support and evaluate social equity in self-initiated traffic stops. We do have some data to show that the people we contact and/or arrest mirror the demographics of our community. This data is not exclusive to traffic stops. However, the passing of Assembly Bill 953, which is the Racial and Identity Profiling Act, also known as RIPA, is a mechanism for collecting data that will provide transparency on car stops by the police. We began collecting data January 1st of this year and have been reporting this data to DOJ or to the Department of Justice since the inception of the new legislation. And recommendation C, reduce the high number of traffic collisions and improve pedestrian safety. The police department continues to apply and receive Office of Traffic Safety grants to support education and enforcement with the goal of reducing pedestrian and vehicle collisions. The police department conducts the following operations in service of traffic safety. We do bicycle education programs for elementary children. We have targeted enforcement of distracted drivers and drivers under the influence of drugs and alcohol. There's crosswalk violation enforcement for both pedestrians and vehicular traffic. We also participate in the Vision Zero program in an effort to eliminate all vehicle and pedestrian collisions. And we distribute and properly fit bicycle helmets to approximately 30 youth per year.
Recommendation 7, increase partnership opportunities among city departments, nonprofits, and community leaders as a form of engagement and prevention.
So I have listed here PVPSA and Team Pure Court, Neighborhood Accountability Board, PVUSD, Probation, CAB, and the Mexican Consulate, who we've been working with for a long time. Now, indirectly, we work with the District Attorney's Office and some of the other organizations that you see here, and some of them we've never worked with. I don't remember the last time that the police department worked in collaboration with the Public Defender's Office to serve community members. And the reason why I say that is because the Public Defender reached out to me, and they are starting an early representation pilot project, which will give the opportunity for people who were arrested for misdemeanors to meet with the public defender at their Watsonville office. The court process, just the court itself, can be overwhelming for someone who doesn't speak Spanish or someone who is been arrested for the very first time. So I think they are bringing and working with a different mindset, and I think that's good for us as an organization. I think it's good for us as a community. The District Attorney's Office has been doing a tremendous amount of community engagement, and I've never seen that amount of engagement, and we've been a part of that along with other community organizations, as well as Monarch Services. And maybe you could talk about the suicide.
Through the MDT, we've actually created new partnerships with new, I guess you could say, organizations or programs. The county, the Behavioral Health, Santa Cruz County, has created a suicide prevention program. So essentially, whenever someone commits suicide and it's successful, which means it goes through, they reach out to the families and kind of help them cope with the process of losing someone by suicide. So that's a new program. It just was created over the summer. And then Monarch Services, we have, through the MDT, really been able to establish a partnership. A lot of people that go through sexual assault or domestic violence can kind of fall through the cracks. And through our MDT program, we are trying to prevent that. We're trying to make sure that the people that are willing to accept help and open to accept help are being connected. I've been working closely with the detectives that work these cases, and whenever there's a family or an individual or someone that I can make contact with, I make sure to connect with that person or that individual. And like I said, if they're open to get help, making sure that they are getting the support that they need after dealing with such a traumatic event.
One of the things that Meredith touched on, or a phrase that she uses, sometimes things fall through the cracks. Part of the MDT program and working with our community partners is really, in the long term, try to identify the larger gaps in the system and where the rest of the system can be improved so that people don't fall into a life of crime and a life of addiction. Because what I've seen, at least in my career, is a person gets to the point where they just can't anymore, and they fall. And a lot of times they fall into a life of crime when it could have been prevented. And I'm not saying that in the sense of placing blame on anyone. What I'm saying is that we all have the ability to improve our systems. We just have to find a mechanism to be able to do that. The other thing that we're participating in is reconnecting families. So the Caminos program is in partnership with PVPSA, the Community Action Board, and Santa Cruz Probation in participating in the monthly Family Night program. So in this program, the first session, there's a couple sessions, but in the first session, the families have an opportunity to have dinner together and participate in interactive family paint led by a local artist. A family gets to have dinner together. I'll say that again. They get to have dinner together. That is huge. It is huge. We all know that. And it's missing from a lot of our homes, from a lot of our tables. And in that void, it creates other issues. So I think just that alone, to be able to sit there with your parents and talk and do an activity, it moves me. The following session of the group discusses topics that they selected as a group at the previous session, and then a subject matter expert comes in and presents to the families. Now, the program aims to encourage and support parents and their children to address obstacles and behaviors for the parents to become aware and that they know that they are not alone. I have been to many homes, just like many other officers or we just know people, and parents they don't know what to do. And they feel isolated, but they're not. And we need to let them know that they're not. And I think this accomplishes that. With CARE, I talked about how we partner with County Mental Health and other nonprofits, but we also partner with the Salvation Army and the Healing Streets to support those in mental health crisis. The MDT is currently grant funded, and our goal is to sustain the program to meet the community's needs. Meredith talked about the program partners already. But one thing I'll mention is that the MDT is also part of the Community Violence Reduction and Wellness Group, and the group is made up as I said before, of local agencies that has been meeting on a regular basis to address a lot of the, help address a lot of the issues that have been occurring in our city. The Peace and Unity March. If you didn't go to the last Peace and Unity March, I encourage you to go next year. The mothers who set this up are wonderful individuals, and it is really a time of remembrance, a time of healing, and my hope is that we can continue to support them as an organization and as a city. The Youth and Community Dialogues was a partnership that was created with the United Way and the Community Action Board. This was a program where police officers engage in meaningful conversations with youth. And, you know, these conversations are fueled by the power of vulnerability, and I talk about that a lot. But it really opens people up to who they are. And these officers and these youth are courageous, they're honest, and they're able to see each other beyond what we see on the surface. And I think that says a lot about the people that live here and the people who work here. I'm very proud of these officers, as well as the youth. And now I'll pass it over to Patty.
As previously mentioned, I was hired in March as a community service analyst for the Watsonville Police Department to help develop and strengthen the relationships within the city departments, nonprofit organizations, and community organizations. For the next couple of minutes, I'm going to be talking about some of the programs that we have been able to reinstate since I came on board, and some of the future programs or events we plan to put together for the community. Starting with Agua con Achota, or Water with the Cop. Agua con Achota was reinstated in April of this year. Agua con Achota is an educational program that was implemented in 2017. This program is aimed at engaging local farm workers to speak about topics that matter to them with police officers. Some of the topics in the past have included police procedures, traffic citations, and immigration laws, and the role of the police department in connection to these concerns. The goals are to build trust with members of the community who may traditionally fear the police, to build stronger community relationships with local farm workers, sponsors, and collaborating nonprofits, for farm workers to feel comfortable with the Watsonville police officers and to know that officers are there to support them, to meet officers behind the badge, and to create an opportunity for farm workers to learn that many officers are just like them and that Spanish is their first language. Many officers and professional staff from the Watsonville Police Department have worked in the fields or themselves as well. So we want them to understand that we know what the work is like. Since 2017, the police department has participated in 5 series totaling 15 sessions out in the local farms. We have partnered with Ranchualitos and Ryder Farms and have collaborated with the Mexican Consulate, Community Action Board, Powder Valley Prevention, the Youth Violence Prevention Network through the United Way, the Community Health Trust, and the California Highway Patrol. Our goal is to partner with in the future with the PVUSD Migrant Ed program to create more opportunities for farm workers to engage with officers and further the relationship between both. Moving on to our guest speaker program, we reinstated the guest speaker program in March of this year. Through our guest speaker program, we have conducted 13 school presentations, creating an opportunity for officers to meet and engage with close to 1,000 students. We have presented to 7 community-based organizations and participated in 11 small to large-scale events. Our goal is for the Watsonville Police Department to continue to strengthen the relationship with the school district by increasing our collaboration in the future with various district departments, once again, such as the Migrant Ed program and the Family Engagement Team. We receive guest speaker requests on a weekly basis, and our program runs year-round. Moving on, In November of this year, at the beginning of the month, we held our first annual Dia de los Muertos celebration. Our department recognizes that the last 2 years have been a challenge for many communities globally, and Watsonville community has not, or was not the exception. Some families in our community experienced the loss of their loved ones due to COVID-19 and also violent crimes. Our department teamed up with PVPSA and PAL to create a safe space for community members to come together to remember and honor their loved ones whom they lost in the recent years. Our goal was to create a space for healing and closure. We were led in teachings about honoring our loved ones, the importance of tradition, and the significance of Dia de los Muertos by Jaime Molina. Local groups such as Activities for All and Raíces Mestizas were invited to perform at the event. We had over 220 community members who attended the event, and 14 different community organizations such as the YMCA, Salud para la Gente, the Aztecas, Community Life Services that participated and created an altar. We have Coffee with a Cop and other future similar events such as Chocolate con la Policía, Talk About It, Paletas con la Placa, and the Watsonville Police Open House. These events will bring different segments of community members in close contact with the Chief of Police, police officers, professional staff, and our police cadets. These events will provide an opportunity for officers and community members to come together to create a relationship and foster existing ones. Our goal is to hold similar events such as Coffee with a Cop on a quarterly basis. The post-incident team, also known as PIT, is a group of community members that work directly with our officers and focus on helping residents after a serious incident in our community has occurred. The PIT was created back in 2008, and we have been very successful and have had volunteers up to 30 at one time. The team's job is to go door to door after an incident has occurred, to calm fears and rumors, and to provide information about community resources and city services. The first PIT orientation since 2015 was held this October, and we were able to recruit 10 new volunteers. PIT members will have an opportunity to participate in department trainings such as mental health first aid and trauma-informed care. And I would like to make a note, because our PIT program has been very successful. We have departments such as the Hayward PD and Salinas PD that have reached out for guidance to establish their own PIT programs in their cities. To add a little bit more about the cadet program, the cadets continue to participate in various community and school events, such as the Watsonville pop-up event that was hosted by the Youth Action Network and Jóvenes Sanos, the Azteca Summer Camp, and College and Career Fair at Diamond Tech High School. During these events, police cadets share their current experience in the program and offer information regarding program requirements, the application process, and the training they have received. More importantly, these types of events provide opportunities for youth with different life goals and perspectives to engage with each other. We look forward to our continued partnership and participation with the Youth Action Network, the Aztecas, and other youth-led organizations such as Empower Watsonville. Our ride-along program was reinstated in March of this year as well, and since then, we've had over 60 applicants in the ride-along program. Buenas tardes. We plan to reinstate the Buenas Tardes program, which was formerly known as Buenos Días, Buenas Tardes, in spring of 2023. This program is a series of educational community meetings or workshops on various topics of interest to community members. This program provides an opportunity for community members to interact with officers, have questions of concern answered, and build community. The workshops will be led by officers and subject matter experts from various community organizations. Our Neighborhood Watch program is a crime prevention program where neighbors look out for each other. It encourages participants to get to know each other and work together with the police to prevent crime in their neighborhoods. As of December of 2019, there were 8 active Neighborhood Watch groups in the city. We will be reconnecting with all active and inactive groups, starting with the West Front neighborhood, to determine the status of each group and identify the next steps to support the neighborhood. In the future, we plan to reach out to the youth-led LGBTQ plus groups in the community. We plan to reinstate the school reading program, We also plan to develop a senior reading program, develop a mentoring program, and reinstate our department's volunteer program. It is important to note that many of these programs, such as the PIT, the Neighborhood Watch, Buenos Dias, Buenas Tardes, and even National Night Out, which I didn't mention, were formerly coordinated by 6 staff members prior to 2020. While we've had a lot of accomplishments over the last 8 months, some of these future engagement goals may not move as fast as we would like them to move due to only having one dedicated staff member to coordinate these programs. Thank you.
Recommendation 8 and 9, the ad hoc committee recommends that the city of Watsonville continue to engage the community past acceptance of these recommendations in order to harness the wisdom and voice of the community. Recommendation number 9, the ad hoc committee recommends that the city and Watsonville Police Department continue to commit to this process of learning and healing as a community.
So we've been engaged with community for over 3 decades, and each era has brought its own challenges, and today is no different. Our collective goal, though, has been one and the same. It's the pursuit of justice, truth, and now healing. We are looking for a safer community, a police department we can have confidence in, a youth population that thrives, parents who feel supported, and seniors who know that they are not forgotten. All of this requires a tremendous amount of dedication and our collective ability to work together. Engaging in this process and moving the work forward in a manner that is inclusive will harness the voices of the majority of community members. Social equity cannot be exclusively isolated to the police department. If we are to shift Watsonville to a more equitable community, we have to also identify and examine the larger system and its shortcomings. As your chief, I am eager to see our shortcomings and our opportunity for growth. As a city organization, I encourage that we prioritize community engagement across our different departments, that we deepen partnerships with community-based organizations, nonprofits, the faith-based community, increase awareness and understanding and training on social equity and what it really means to be equitable. We are tasked, when I say we, I mean all of us here. We are tasked with solving the problems that are the most vexing and difficult and intransigent, and that's not easy. It's no longer about the smartest person in the room that needs to solve the issues. What we need is collective intelligence. We need cities that work differently. We need industrial sectors that work differently, grassroots organizations, nonprofits that work differently. We need collective activism, and we need value change. Our values shape who we are and how we behave. And even our values need to be revisited and reevaluated. And I believe that is what is going to, I believe that is the vehicle to get us to community well-being. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. That was a very comprehensive informational report, and we appreciate it. Heartfelt and sincere. Do we have any clarifying questions from the council? Councilwoman Garcia?
Jorge, I came up with 8 questions, but I'm only going to ask you 2, and I'll email you the other 6.
Sounds
Okay?
good.
Okay. My first question, okay. My first question is in regards to the CARE program. If I understood you, you said you had 1 police officer and 1 clinician. And so my question is, does that meet the needs of the community of Watsonville, or do we need more?
That's a great question, Councilmember Garcia. It would be beneficial to us if we could get another clinician to work evenings. It would be beneficial to us if we could get another officer to work evenings. But because of staffing levels, we had to pull one officer to work patrol. And the county hasn't been able to find another clinician because it takes a very special person, one, to be a clinician, and two, to be a clinician that works in our field and to work nights and bilingual, who understands community. Very difficult to do.
But we're not going to give up.
No, we're not giving up.
Okay. My second question is, number 2 was in terms of oversight for accountability for the police department. So my question is, that chief advisory board, is it going to act as that type of oversight committee?
No, the Chief Advisory Board is more of a sounding board, more of a dialogue group that will look at police issues, that will look at what the community feels is important to be looked at and talked about and potentially change, but it won't be an oversight group.
And so is there any consideration, because if I read it correctly, it said they used the word oversight. And so are we going to have any oversight of the police department?
Yes, so the oversight will be through the independent auditor.
But it said community oversight, not somebody else. It said community oversight. And so that's what I'm asking. Are we going to have any community oversight? And I was wondering if the Chief Advisory Board could have some role in that.
Well, it could have a minimal role in that, but as I mentioned before, it can't be a group that looks at internal investigations or criminal investigations, but it can certainly play a role or have a voice in an incident.
Okay. And I will email you my other 6 questions.
Sure.
Any other comments or questions from the council? Okay, good. Thank you I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Councilman Estrada.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone, all for the comprehensive report. I'm still sort of confused because just in terms of the recommendations, I appreciate knowing everything that's happening, but I sort of don't get a sense whether we're making progress on each recommendation. A lot of the stuff that I hear, I remember, I know that, are things that are been happening, already in the community. What I'm sort of interested in wanting to know is what was new? What was added as a result of this entire process? What was looked at again? What was amended? Did any of these recommendations have any impact on anything in the department that could have had an impact? There are things that I understand can't be. The training makes total sense to me. You only have 8 hours, right? Sometimes it might be hard to squeeze in an extra training that was recommended, but I guess, how do we know that we're reaching these goals? The spirit of each recommendation is being met year in and year out, I guess is my question.
Sure, thanks for the question. Well, I would look at Meredith and her position first. And how do we get people to not, or youth, I think it was one of the recommendations, to not be involved in the criminal justice system. I look at Patty, and those positions are new to the police department. In service of prevention and early identification of behaviors that could lead to criminal activity. And when we talk about having youth not fall into the criminal justice system, the Caminos program has proven that it is successful. And now if we can augment those things, I think that would be great. But those 2 positions are something that I think are a great accomplishment for the organization and for the city. And when I took over as chief, we restructured, and we now have a community services division that oversees all of these efforts. So I think those are some of them. I think when we talk about BASTA and bringing it back in a different sense where we're removing suppression, and I think those are important to look at and see, okay, what is it exactly that we're doing different? So I believe those are some of the things that really call or identify with the recommendations. The Community Advisory Board is going to be huge. The department assessment of what we need externally and internally, but not just looking at numbers and data, but also talking to community members about what they want. I think that is very important. And the independent auditor, we've never had that. So, those are just some things off the top of my head that I can think of when I think of the work that we're doing. And it makes me proud to know that when these recommendations were given to us, we were doing a lot of what was asked of us. And it really just made us focus on how we could do things better.
And I appreciate that, Chief. And, it's really more of hopefully like a suggestion moving forward. I'm hoping that this is not the first and the last update on what's happening with police, with the ad hoc committee. It's just a recommendation maybe for the next presentation that you make is really, I would just really highly suggest you talk about some of these things, Chief, because I think they are important, but one thing is to sort of, I don't know, it's just I want to ensure the community that we are moving forward more than anything. We want to make that message loud and clear that, these two positions did this, right? And these were positions that didn't exist. And sort of as you mentioned it to me, because I want the community to know of these changes and some of the work that you're doing, so that there is no assumption that the Watsonville PD just sort of shelved the recommendations,
Yeah, that we did not shelve them. But I understand your point, and thank you. I will hopefully be clearer next time.
Councilman Hurst?
Just a comment, Mayor, if I might. I also share some of the concerns that there's suggestions and there are issues in the community that Councilman Estrada alludes to and quite points out very clearly, that we need to have this reflection. And I appreciate the chief's staff and the chief's effort on trying to find ways that we can deal with these very difficult circumstances and difficult situations, and that we emphasize prevention and family support, and that we reflect on the good work that has been done, as well as the places that we have yet to make improvements on, and the challenges that we face as a community. So, taking us down memory lane with BASTA and the good work of the cadets and the Youth Academy and the Peace and Unity, and bringing it back to that kind of family support and that prevention, so that we don't have to have the tragedies in the community that we unfortunately continue to have. So those are my remarks, and I think this is a fitting report, and I hope that we can do more, and I hope that we can continue to do better. Thank you.
Any other comments? I thought it was very comprehensive as a progress report, right? Because that's basically what you were, and the detail that you went into, I know was focused on making sure that we understood that it wasn't a superficial fix. It was a detailed review and reflection, and then how you perceived the old programs being new and how you could better them. And so I think that was a great first informational since that time. And like I said, it comes to me, Rome wasn't built in a day. And it takes time for systemic changes. And I see nothing but the language that you spoke was very positive in self-reflection and understanding that you were going to go through some hard changes in the way you approach things and think of things. But safety is a focus still. And that is the focus of our PD. So I very much appreciated it, and I look forward to other reviews and informational reports that maybe just are, specific to the changes, just only this change as we move through them. And when you're ready with that, as you develop it, because once again, you're having so many other agencies outside of Watsonville interested in what you're doing. That means you're doing something they aren't. And moving that forward is a very positive thing, not only for our communities, but obviously for other communities as well. So I want to thank you for that. Thank you very much. Thank you all for presenting that information. We are going to continue with our agenda then, and we are going to open it up for 8B, oral communications from the public. You have 2 minutes apiece. This time is set aside for members of the general public to address the council on any item not on the council agenda, which is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. No action or discussion shall be taken on any item presented, except that any council member may respond to statements made or questions asked, or may ask questions for clarification. All matters of an administrative nature will be referred to staff. All matters relating to council will be noted in the minutes and may be scheduled for discussion at a future meeting or referred to staff for clarification and report. All speakers are asked to fill out a speaker card and leave it at the podium. Speakers are asked to announce their name and district in which they live in order to obtain an accurate record for the minutes. Welcome, Steve.
Well, you probably know why I'm here, but I first want to thank Irwin for a wonderful election day. I was here, busy at 10 o'clock. You guys did a great job. Thank your staff for doing a great job. I want to thank the police chief and his staff for an excellent, detailed, factual report that addresses many of our concerns, including me. Because as much as I do support our police department, I do have concerns, especially about oversight. So thank you, Police Chief Zamora. It's a pleasure to know you. Then, as you may have noticed yesterday, a big change came to this county, and I'm part of, well, actually, I'm a major part of it. Some of you told me 2 years ago, oh, Steve, you're not going to campaign about changing the name of our college. You're going to lose. You're going to commit suicide before you ever get elected. Well, guess what, folks? I got elected on that issue, more than 60% of the vote 2 years ago. And yesterday, 6-1, we are chucking the name of Mr. Cabrillo into the wastebasket of history, where he belongs. And we are going to come up with a beautiful, new, inclusive name for our beautiful community college. Why? Because just as Jorge Zamora addressed this, we have to make some changes in this community, and we have to realize times are changing, and we need to be aware of the fact that Cabrillo was an evil, despotic man. He was the Vladimir Putin of 16th century California. And I want also to present the idea we really shouldn't have to suffer along with the name of Charles Watson as our namesake. He was a drunk. He brought a slave from Texas. He wanted California to be a Confederate state. He brawled in the state legislature. They threw him out. Then, to make matters worse, he went to Nevada and died broke. We need to do the same thing with Charles Watson. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address? Welcome.
Thank you. Members of the council, my name is Marta Beliach from District 1. During the City of Watsonville and Saba Charter Schools information and listening session held on September 29th, Principal Josh Ripp referenced 2 traffic reports in defense of Saba's pursuit of an objectionable zoning change. Transportation consultant RBF prepared a report in 2013 to predict traffic impact on the neighborhood. That report predicted acceptable levels of traffic impact and was used to justify approval of the Saba use permit. Subsequent information showed that the report was defective and that the actual traffic on Locust and 2nd Streets was gridlocked. Transportation consultant Hexagon prepared a report that was a vehicle, bicycle, and pedestrian traffic count conducted in May 2022. Relying solely on the contents of the Hexagon report, here are the specific information items from that report from the morning peak hour period on May 10th. 98 automobiles entered Saba's campus, 80 exited. 143 vehicles continued straight on Locust Street without entering Sabus campus. No bicycles entered or exited Sabus campus. A total of 129 pedestrians crossed Locust Street in the vicinity of the driveway, and 17 pedestrians crossed the Saba driveway. However, the Hexagon report presents no information on how many pedestrians or students actually entered Saba's campus. Josh Ripp sought to establish a comparison of the predictions of the RBF report with the Hexagon study. However, the RBF predictions and methodology were defective, and the Hexagon counts provide incomplete information. Therefore, Josh Ripp's comparative analysis is not valid. The defects of the RBF report will need to be addressed. In the end, a more thorough and rational set of observed data, as well as a more competent method of analysis than what Saba and the city staff presented, is needed to determine what is really going on with the Saba school and the impacts it has on its neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address? Thank you. State your name and your district, please.
Good evening, council and everyone else. My name is Omar Alvarez, and I live in District 7. I am the Secretary of Empower Watsonville, the Youth Policy Cohort 2, through the Pajaro Valley Prevention and Student Assistance Program. Through our internship, Empower Watsonville's youth seeks out to advocate and inform our school's community regarding substance use and mental health. Alongside this, we strive to provide informational resources and advocacy for a restorative policies for students caught using substances. We also partner with parents and school administrators to help reduce the alarming rates of substances used within our community. And I want to provide an announcement on behalf of our cohort where we'll be having a conference on December 2nd from 5 to 8:30. In addition to a variety of activities such as partnering with the Community Action Board, Youth Homeless Response Team, we are having a hygiene drive where we'll be collecting soaps, deodorants, and toothbrushes. We will also be exploring distinct challenges and obstacles that youth experience with interactive youth-led activities for the community to engage with to learn different tactics. To attribute to this, we will also be having a guest speaker, Dani Contreras, and we all hope to see you there and for your attendance. Thank you for your time.
Could you repeat your name?
Omar Alvarez.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. My name is Bobby Marchessault. I am a resident of District 2. Thanks for having me. Speaking of, I would love to, I don't have time to get in this tonight, but would love to find out more about the parking lot on, I believe it's Bridge Street, that I saw the new fence go up. I have some concerns I emailed you about. Want to know what's going to happen there, and disappointed it's not open for parking. But I was also part of the ad hoc committee, and I thank you for bringing that forward tonight. Thank you, Chief Zamora, for your update. I appreciated it. I also have some concerns. We do know that there are a lot of great things that our department is doing. I echo a lot of what I heard from Councilman Estrada. We looked at the initial recommendations, but not a lot of the action steps. And I think that's where you ask the question of, like, how do we know what's moved forward? If I would recommend you guys pull that out and look at some of the action steps. And a lot of the good things that that we talked about existed pre-2020. One of the things that could help with that is in recommendation 2, one of the action steps was an oversight group that to guide the work of the ad hoc committee, that was something of interest, to get community members to continue to oversee and say, hey, how are we doing with this? It seems like city management probably should be part of these updates too, because I know that they're going to have to help. You know, the department has a lot of work, and we need to share that, it seems. For example, the care team already existed. I know one of our big things was that it needed to increase, was one of our primary things, and one of the action steps was to a collaborative work group to assess other models. We had concerns about that, whether it should be replaced or in addition to, and reaching out to the county also. We established officers shouldn't be investigating their own departments. That's addressed a bit. It included a consultant. Action steps talked about actually getting a consultant to look at what would be the best model, IPA or oversight, as was mentioned. And I would highly advocate for a mix of both. La Mesa, California has an example where they brought on both an IPA and an oversight. I'm glad that we're looking at IPA, and I greatly appreciate the advisory board. I have so many other things, so I will email you. But I will finish by saying at the very end, I agree. It's the whole community, the whole group, and there was a recommendation, an action step to conduct a diversity, equity, and inclusion assessment for the city, reviewing all departments and all the elected offices, so that would be worth looking at too.
Thank you, Mr. Marchessault. Is there anyone else who would like to? Welcome, Mr. Fonts.
Good evening, Mayor Parker, members of the council. My name is Murray Fonts. I'm city engineer. On Sunday, November 20th at 2 p.m., city staff from the Public Works and Utilities Department and street safety advocates will gather at the Watsonville City Plaza to commemorate World Day of Remembrance for Road Traffic Victims. This event is one of hundreds happening across the country and around the world. The World Day of Remembrance is an international event started in 2005, honoring people killed and injured on the world's roads each year and organizing for change to prevent such tragedies. Traffic violence is a preventable public health crisis, and one goal of the World Day of Remembrance for road traffic victims is to promote awareness and educate community members on what can be done to eliminate traffic fatalities and serious injuries. The City of Watsonville is hosting this event to honor recent victims and their families. At the event, staff will update the community on the progress made with Vision Zero, the successes over the last year, the barriers faced, and how the community can work with the city to create safer streets. Some of the successes that we'll highlight include a number of programs and projects to improve safety of city residents as they walk, bike, and drive throughout the city. These include continued support of pedestrian and bicycle safety training in city elementary schools, installation of separated bike lanes on Harkin Slough Road and Pennsylvania Drive, installation of flashing beacons to assist pedestrians at two crossings on Harkin Slough Road, installation of traffic signals at Airport Boulevard and Home Road and at West Beach Street and Ohlone Parkway, and the future installation of improved pedestrian and bicycle facilities, including a pedestrian bridge on Harkin Slough Road at Highway 1 for students and others traveling to and from Pajaro Valley High School. Staff will host this event regardless of weather conditions. Interested attendees are encouraged to monitor the weather as the event approaches and dress accordingly.
What was that date again?
Sunday, November 20th.
It should be on your screen right there. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the council? Welcome.
Buenas tardes, good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Bernie Gomez with District 1. I was just sitting back there and listening, and just thinking about this whole policing and social equity. It's really focusing a lot on the police department, right, on policies or conduct, what can they provide, and all these things. And it's always an outside source that comes in, right, and supports, right, an outside entity, right. Duly so, because the police department is not really equipped to really engage in the social emotional learning and well-being, and that's what's going on, right. There's a lot more organizations doing that type of work. Maybe it's not recognized because it's not considered part of the evidence-based criteria, right? There's organizations that actually have lived experience and have direct knowledge of how to engage in the cultural aspect of the work of that social emotional well-being. So just want to mention that, but also just thinking, if we're going to be thinking about policing and social equity and focusing that much energy on the police department, we should also be looking at community and social equity and start focusing on the communities and those voices, right, that don't have the opportunity to be in these meetings, to be in the ad hoc committee, right? There's a lot of misrepresentation there too. It's like, I don't want to say, I'll take that back. Not misrepresentation, it was just some representation was still needed to be there. There's a lot of community, a lot of neighborhoods, a lot of things happening in Watsonville that can be represented, but we're usually the ones left out, right? We're usually the ones who are demonized, who are criminalized, right? Who are essentially pitted against one another. So lastly, I'll just say, again, community and social equity must be fiscally supported by the city, where equity on the budgetary, right, and the distribution of wealth that's where it should start too, where all departments get their fair share so they can uplift their own work. And we just know that some of these departments are really just doing worse than the police department,
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to address council at this time? Okay, we'll move on to 8C, oral communications from the council. And I will begin with Councilwoman Quiroz Carter.
Thank you, Mayor. I hope everyone had a lovely Halloween. My family and I really enjoyed seeing everyone. We gave out about 1,000 pieces of candy, so we had a really nice time. I hope you did too. On November 2nd, I met with a group of constituents to discuss some of their neighborhood issues, and I'm always happy to have neighborhood meetings. I'm happy to come in to different neighborhoods and discuss different things that are going on, and to work with staff to try to pinpoint those issues and see what we can do about them. Also on November 2nd, directly following that meeting, I attended the Science Workshop 25th anniversary celebration, which was lovely. It was really, really fun. They had people dressed up as Catrins and Catrinas, and it was just a really nice celebration. And then finally, November 5th, I attended Wine and Roses, which was also a really lovely celebration. And I hope, I want to say thank you all for being here, for watching, and I hope you all have a nice holiday. If you celebrate Thanksgiving, I hope you have a great
All right, Councilman Hurst.
Well, thank you very much, Mayor. And, my last couple of weeks here since our last meeting, there's a lot of water under the bridge, but that's kind of the story of my life already, is water under the bridge. And, I'll keep moving with that water under the bridge. Since our last meeting, I did attend a Chamber of Commerce mixer at our Hampton Inn's new hotel, a major revenue generator for the city and a major home away from home for many of our visitors that come and hopefully spend some money and enjoy the Pajaro Valley. I was also able to attend the Seroptimus annual dinner and fundraiser, an activity by the Pajaro Valley Arts. They had a wonderful community gathering. The Science Workshop, which has been mentioned, Wine and Roses, was better than ever. The Health Trust always needs our support. Election Day, that was pretty intense and pretty busy for the last 3 or 4 months that it's wound around. Veterans Day, boy, did we have a nice Veterans Parade and a wonderful celebration at the Mello Center, and it showed the cooperation between the school district and the city, and I believe Applebee's was the lunch sponsor, and it was surprisingly, well, it was good. It was very tasty. Thanksgiving is coming up, and as I continue to flow like water under the bridge, the sunset out here was just magnificent this evening, and so we should all take a moment on occasion to stand out here on our deck and watch the sunset and think about all the accomplishments and the wonderful things that do go on in the Pajaro Valley. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilwoman Garcia.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming to our meeting tonight. I attended 7 meetings, and I only want to report that I was interviewed by 6 volunteers from Regenerations. One of the questions they asked was, how can the community be better involved in the development of the general budget? In the last budget process, there was a community meeting to give input from the community, but several of the participants who attended at that last budget, they spoke to me, and they said that they spoke, but they were not listened to. And I've already spoken to City Manager Renee that we need a better process to assure that community input will have an impact on the development of the budget. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilman Estrada.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to thank everyone for joining us tonight, here in person and online or on TV. And just to thank everyone that voted in this past election. Thank you very much. There were a number of important issues, and really, we've said it here before, that at the really local level, your voice is just so much more impactful. Your vote is so much more impactful on some of these measures and with some of these races. And so everyone that that worked on the campaign, volunteered, donated. You were candidates yourself. Just thank you to everyone that participated. I know it's a flawed system. It's not a perfect system, but we need more people to step up. We need more people to continue voting and exercising their rights to really, really demand for the community they're looking for. So that's just really it. Just thank you for all those that voted. And thank you, Erwin, for all your hard work, and to the city staff. I know we were open around the clock to make sure we could accommodate people's schedules, and hopefully we will continue doing that, and we'll continue finding ways to even be more flexible and more accommodating. So thank you, staff. Thank you, everyone, for participating. Those are my comments, Mayor. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Montesino.
Hey, good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here. Always like to see a lot of community with us live and online. Also, in that same venue, thank you for those people that exercise their vote. That's but also hopefully people saw a difference. I mean, these last months, a lot of people voted for measures, for candidates, and we're gonna see a difference. Especially one that's going to benefit a lot of in our communities. Measure S that won out, overwhelmingly. That is going to be a game changer for our funding in the next year. So I want people to be engaged. I want people to see what the outcome is, because you're going to see great things coming out of this measure as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you. I'm not going to go back over. Councilman Hurst had a prolific list and attended many of those things, so I won't go back over it. The Veterans Day program was wonderful, and we honored some wonderful veterans. We had a beautiful luncheon with family, friends, and community. Today, I really want to thank our city clerk, who went above and beyond in his, I know he had a primary, but this was his first major general election. And he really rose to the occasion. And that last day, how many people came in who had no ballots, and you had to identify them, and make sure they were in the right district and that they could vote.
Yeah, we were busy all day long, but we issued about 500 ballots here in-house, as well as accepting, probably over 1,000 of drop-offs. We try to make ourselves available as much as we could, and we have a support staff that were here to help people vote. And we're very proud that we were busy all day long, because prior to that, it was a little bit slow.
Yeah, you were worried about that. But we have established that Watsonville clearly is a city of procrastinators. I'm there too, because we waited till the very end to drop things off. And it was a rainy day, so we came out on a rainy day and dropped things off. So I just want to thank everyone here and in our audience there who voted. And if you're registered, vote. If you're not registered and vote. And then you have a voice in the community, and it's a powerful voice, especially when you have measures and you have candidates. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to our attorney, Samantha Zettler, for a report out of closed session.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening. We had closed session on the items on the agenda, and no reportable action was taken.
Okay. So I had a little fall earlier today, and now I'm a little achy, but I'm going to make my way down to the podium to give out two mayor's proclamations. And if Aaron Cole and Charles Hanley will join me there, I will creak my way down. You want to come help me? I begin, hello, there we go. Before I begin, this GIS is a word that, or an acronym that I was unfamiliar with, even though I knew it referred to mapping of some sort. And it's Geographic Information Systems Day, which will be November 16th. Whereas the City of Watsonville recognizes that an understanding, use, and application of geospatial technology, and it's crucial to operating our infrastructure, sustaining our natural resources, and stimulating economic growth, thus benefiting the welfare of our community. And whereas Geographic Information Systems, GIS, technology allows us to see and model complex relationships and patterns to more intelligently respond, facilitating the conversion of data into valuable knowledge. And whereas we acknowledge those that have chosen GIS as their profession, that would be you gentlemen, or as a part of their discipline to improve the lives of our citizens, and whereas additionally we recognize and support the efforts of nonprofits who work on activities to improve conservation, human services, and various humanitarian efforts to better our world, and whereas there is a need to promote GIS awareness, education, and technical training in order to use this technology to its full potential. And whereas having a day of GIS training for city staff will empower employees to expand their technical skills and become better key contributors in the development of our enterprise GIS program. And whereas the City of Watsonville is committed to utilizing GIS to inform decision-making and better serve its residents and make useful geographic information open and readily available to the public as a platform for innovation. And I want to know what that is. Now, therefore, I, Ari Parker, Mayor of the City of Watsonville, and the State of California, on behalf of the City Council, hereby recognize November 16th as GIS Day and encourage all to discover and understand the benefits of GIS.
Thank you, Mayor. Is this on?
It's on.
Mayor, we appreciate this. As you know, the IT offices were recently remodeled, and the walls are very bare. And so I cannot think of a more fitting framed picture to put on our new walls and our new office, which we appreciate. I'm Aaron Cole, joined here by Charles Hanley and our IT director, Brandon Gill. Charles and I started with the city just this time last year. And so it's been a busy year. It's been a wonderful year, getting to know the departments, getting to know the staff, all the work that's done in this city, council. And we work in a support role. And so it's something that we both take pride in, something that we both enjoy. This coming year, we look forward to training staff, empowering staff, expanding the reach of what GIS does and can do for the city. But that also means for the public. And so it's not just for the city staff, but creating maps, applications, a data hub, places where residents can go to get information, to see data, to see information. And so those are some of the things we're looking forward to. With that, I just want to say thank you very much, and we appreciate it.
Good. Here is your wonderful wall decoration.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
There you go. Would you like to say something?
Thank you.
Sure. I just want to say thank you, Madam Mayor, and we're really lucky. We really love the work that we do, and it's an honor to do it here for this wonderful community of Watsonville. It's very forward-looking and forward-thinking, so I'm really proud to be here and doing this for the city and the community here. Thank you.
He said something out. Well, I want to say, though, that I had in the past year and a half or so, I had a request to show me certain, areas of the city that the city owned and how could we look at that. And you guys are right on that. It was very interesting. You got me the information. I knew how to access it. And then I started thinking of applications and what we could put on our city website about how we could use that and identify different things. So I'm excited that you're here. I'm excited. I hope we let you loose on some things,
We are.
Okay, I take his word for it.
You know, when a request comes in from the mayor, it tends to happen quickly.
Oh, well, wonderful. Did you hear that, future mayor? On that one, okay, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I have Patrick Orozco, an elder of the Ohlone tribe, and any members of the Ohlone tribe who have come with him. Join me here. Welcome. Welcome. Whereas Native American Heritage Month is celebrated in the United States every November, and whereas this month is a time to acknowledge the rich and diverse cultures, traditions, and histories, and to appreciate the important contributions of Native peoples. And whereas the Ohlone are Native American people located in the northern California coast, tribes in inhabited areas from the coast of San Francisco through Monterey Bay to lower Salinas Valley. And whereas the Ohlones, also known as the Costanoans, were highly skilled basket weavers and survived by hunting, fishing, and gathering acorns and seeds. And whereas through a life of resourcefulness, moderation, and respect for others and nature, they were able to maintain their culture for centuries. And whereas, however, during the mission era, the Ohlone people lost their traditions and lifestyle ways as they were forced to learn a new language, religion, and morals. And whereas, furthermore, many of them perished from European diseases like smallpox and measles, and also high infant mortality rate, which reduced them to less than 10% of their original pre-mission era population. And whereas after the closure of the missions, many used the skills they learned to work on local farms and ranches, and some even had ranches of their own. And whereas despite this painful history, the Ohlone are still with us today, and we are proud to have dedicated individuals who are keeping the Ohlone arts, dancing, and music alive through practice and events, and whom are working to revive their ancestral language. And whereas we urge all to observe this month, Native American Heritage Month, with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. Now, therefore, I, Ari Parker, Mayor of the City of Watsonville in the state of California, a Native American of the Amah Mutsun tribe, on behalf of the City Council, hereby recognize November as National Native American Heritage Month and honor these extraordinary people who have contributed to improve the character of our nation. I thank you very much.
Well, I hear a lot about the schools here. The two young ladies were talking here, and I too say when I started doing Indian lectures in the schools in 1976, and I'm still doing these programs in the schools, even this month, you know. The first school I did a Indian program was Alianza, and I believe they were situated over on Arthur Road. And then the second school was over on Monterey County Hall School, which is on Hall Road. And I remember the one that the lady that invited me to do this program there at that school. We call her Grandma Hubbard. Everybody knew her as Grandma Hubbard. And I don't know where she's at now, but she used to see me at Wendy's. I used to have lunch at Wendy's. And anytime she was there, she'd buy me, she says, buy the Indians lunch. And she paid for our lunch and everything. But I haven't seen her for about 5 years now, and I was wondering where she was at, you know. But anyway, it's been a long time. I'm 83 years old now, pushing 84, you know, and I'm still active. You know, I'm still active, and we do a lot of programs. You're all invited to our next free dinner, turkey dinner, which is on December the 18th over here in Pajaro at the Springfield Grange. We merged together with the Santa Cruz Indian Council out of Santa Cruz County, and we put it together. We've been doing it for a long time, but mostly over at Loudon Nelson. But I think Loudon Nelson was in some kind of a strike, and it wasn't open to us to do it over there. So Santa Cruz Indian Council leader called me up and says, Pat, do you have any place where we can do this? I said, sure, and it's free. He said, what? I said, it's free. I'll get it for you. So we got the Springfield Grange. So that's on December the 18th. You're all welcome to come have dinner with the Native Americans. Oh. This is my niece, Terry, Vice Chairman of the Ohlone Council.
Thank you. First of all, I want to say thank you to Police Chief police chief of, the fire chief, right? Rudy. Yes. I want to thank you for all the work you guys are doing in the community. These programs, all that stuff you were talking about wasn't here in the 70s when I was growing up. So there was not a lot of resources for us. It's wonderful. I love that. You know, breaking the cycle, just like my son here. He's done well, you know. Thank you. So I wanted to say that this last August, we did our first culture camp at Sunset Beach, 7-day culture camp. It was beautiful. The only problem was we did it on Labor Day weekend. A lot of people couldn't get in. So this next year, you know, we're going to put out more flyers and maybe get more youth out there and teach them some songs and talk about our culture and all that. But thank you. This is my son.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Marcus, a tribal member of the Pajaro Valley Ohlone Indian Council. Also, I do want to thank Chief Zamora for the programs. With our tribe, we have a rich culture that that helps our families to avoid being in the system. We know a lot of Native Americans, they fall to drugs and alcoholism, and they end up in the system. I'm proof here that our rich culture helped me and my family to be involved with my tribe so I don't become a statistic and don't be involved with the jails and being addicted to alcohol or drugs. Over the years, I've learned to dance in our tribe, learned plenty of songs. I probably know around 100 songs in our tribe, and I want to share one with everyone here. Gratitude. And I'm also a U.S. Army veteran. I have 6 years active duty service and one tour overseas. So I want to share a song of gratitude with you guys. Oh ya, 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 hey ya, yeah, hey ya, yeah, hey ya, oh, hey, oh ya, oh ya, oh ya, oh ya, oh ya, oh ya, hey ya, yeah, hey ya, yeah, hey ya, oh, hey, oh. Thank you, Mayor.
See you in January? Yes, you will. Okay.
We take a picture really quickly. Come on, Mom. All right, you go ahead. Gotcha. Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, Mayor, while you're making your way back up here, if I might say a couple of remarks, I want to congratulate our tribal leaders and on Native American month, and I'm certainly glad that you could be here today and that the mayor provided you a nice proclamation like that. So congratulations, and we look forward to seeing you again next year. And It's not just 1 month, it's a lifetime. It's in a lifetime. I also want to congratulate our IT, our GIS recipients here. You know, I've often said that nothing works without Public Works, but it's also true of GIS and IT. Nothing works without GIS. And so I want to thank you for your hard work and making everybody's access available to our records and all the things that folks need access through the city. So thank you very much, and congratulations on your proclamation as well.
Any other comments from the council before we move on? I just want to say one thing to Patrick. 34 years ago, I was a new teacher. And 33 years ago, I was at Starlight before it was built and after it was built. And for a few years there, regularly, you brought the presentation that you did, the storytelling of, you know, some of the histories, the songs, the dress, and it fascinated the children. They ate it up. They talked about it for days and years, and I've even talked to some as adults in their 40s, and they said, I still remember that and how amazing it was. So thank you for keeping the spirit of the Ohlone alive for all these decades, and it has been decades, many decades. Thank you, Patrick.
Could I say something?
Who is the can I say so? Oh, you are. Hi, Councilwoman Garcia. Sure, absolutely.
One of the experiences that I have with Patrick was, God, and I don't even know how many years ago, he led a tour of community members behind the wastewater plant. And he was able to identify every herb, every green entity that was there, and say, this is how we use it. I was truly amazed by that information that you had, and wish more people had that information so we could take advantage of all that surrounds us. So thank you.
That's so much with our native tribes. They lived with the land, not taking from it, but lived with it. So thank you. I'm going to move on now to our consent agenda. The consent agenda. All items appearing on the consent agenda are recommended actions, which are considered to be routine and will be acted upon as one consensus motion. Any items removed will be considered immediately after the consensus motion. The mayor, that's me, will allow public input prior to the approval of the consent agenda. So, is there anyone who would like to speak to any item on the consent agenda? Seeing no one approach the podium, I will go to our council and ask if there are any critical, technical questions that you have on anything before we go to motion.
I have a question, but I'll do it in the motion.
Okay, so I will ask for a motion then.
I move.
Okay, well, I think Councilman Hurst.
Mayor, I
beat
was
you on
asking
that.
to pull number 10B for further discussion, a possible no vote.
Okay. Do we have a second on that? Do we have to have a second on that? No, just pulling it. Okay, we're pulling it. Okay, so we're pulling 10B. We're moving forward. We have a motion for the rest of it, and we have a second. So, you have a comment?
Yes.
Go ahead.
This is regarding 10K, and I don't know who 10K would be to ask.
That would be. That's just to update, right?
Hi, Christian.
Hi.
There were many increases to salaries in this resolution. The report states that the increases are due to challenges and changes. I was wondering, though, if there was any comparison to salaries in similar cities.
Any position in particular?
No,
Or
just
a
in
general question?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. If part of the decision to make all these increases, because there was a lot of increases.
Right.
is if it took into consideration salaries of other cities that we might compare to.
Yes, we've done that as well. So the initial phase was to do internal comps and to see if there was parity or not within similar type of professions, specifically within the utilities. And then I branched out and I looked at some other agencies to see really, because the adjustments were classification specific and not very broad based. We did examine to see how we ultimately, with the salary adjustments, would parallel with other agencies that also had internal utility operations. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I'm fine with that. Does Natalie, you have anything you want to add? Then she's fine with that. I'm fine with that. Any other questions? Councilman Hurst?
Just a comment on item 10E, that's the Sergeant Town Planning General Plan Update, and it kind of fits in with 10F as well as we move toward the future with the general plan, and that's really big stuff and has proved problematic for decades. And so I certainly hope we get our money's worth here, and I'm hopeful that the city will, because it's really important that we get a general plan and we get it right, and that we also work on our housing element as 10F stipulates. And so just a couple of comments on that. And if I can go on regarding 10K, this is the Freedom Boulevard, $4,279,000. Boy, that's a lot of money, but Freedom Boulevard needs a lot of work, and it would really be nice to get it all done and kind of put to bed. And, I ran late today because the wonderful traffic on Freedom Boulevard and the construction process that's going on. So I'm glad that we're making these positive expenditures in the city that are going to benefit future generations. And I see that on 10J, we're applying for a $2 million grant through the state of California, and I think anytime we can apply for a grant that will stimulate businesses in town and take care of some of our underserved population and provide that kind of backstop with state money, we're in better shape. And so thanks to staff for bringing this forward, too.
Thank you, Councilman Hurst. Mayor Pro Tem Montesino?
Yeah, on 10E, don't have a question, I just have a comment. It's a good thing that we're got a contract, but also look at the potential, to look at the airport while we're doing that endeavor in the future. And 10K, yes, like I said, I hope we're looking at also the with these merit increases, retention compatibility. So that's it. Thank you.
Oh, boy. I'm going to reiterate the Freedom Boulevard. We've all we have all been connected to Freedom Boulevard, and then we realize how much we are connected to Freedom Boulevard, either in our avoidance or our pass-through of Freedom Boulevard in the last weeks. But this is something that needed to happen, and it needed to happen for a long time. So I'm glad this council and our Public Works move forward with it in such a way that, I know it was tough, and it's still tough for people, but it will get done. And that's a nice thing. So now we have any other comments before I go to, okay, we have a motion and we have a second. And we'll go to roll call. This is excluding 10B that was pulled.
Estrada?
Aye.
Garcia?
Yes.
Hurst?
Aye.
Montesino?
Aye.
Quiroz Carter?
Aye.
And Parker?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Good. And as always, when you get to the end of anything on the consensus, we'll try that again. When you get into anything on the consent agenda, anything pulled comes right after, and that would be 10B. Councilman Hurst, would you like to speak to that?
Sure. You know, I was concerned when I saw this because I didn't know anything about the Victory Institute, and I don't know if anybody else does either. Do they? Well, I did look them up because I'm curious, and I read the agenda, and I try and do my homework here. So the Victory Institute says on their webpage, and this is by their CEO, and this is a quote right off of their page, "Campaigning is tough work with little margin for error. Victory Institute's candidate and campaign training is intense, inexpensive, and presented by experienced professionals. It gives new candidates a head start, but even experienced candidates can up their game." So this is an election, how to get elected. Now, that's a good idea, but I really like political advocacy a lot, but I don't do it on the city dime. And so I don't think we should do it on the city dime either, any of us. We have to be nonpartisan. We have to be neutral when it comes to political work. And so somebody that wants to get elected has lots of other resources, such as Irwin. He can explain the election process to all the candidates. Also, the League of Cities, Civic Well, the former ILG folks. And, there's lots of election personnel everywhere that can explain election processes and how you get elected. I had to learn the hard way. Nobody paid me or sent me on a conference to go get elected. So I kind of hate to bring this up because Mr. Dutra's not here to defend his request, but it's really not about gender or preference. It's pure politics on this, and, politics should be politics, and the city shouldn't be paying for someone to go get trained on how to get elected. And so I'm asking the council to vote no and deny this request. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to comment on this? Yes, ma'am.
When I read this, I said I'm going to support it because I didn't know it was about how to get elected, but it's particular to, let's see, what does it say here?
LGBTQ?
Yeah, right. And, that community has experienced a lot of injustice, including in getting elected. And so I'm going to vote yes, because if Jimmy can learn some new strategies, I'm sure he'd be willing to share with the rest of us also.
Now, any other comments?
Well, my motion would be to deny this request.
I hear you. And if you have a motion so the motion would be to deny the request. Is there a second for that motion? That motion dies then in that. So we can continue this if someone else has another motion, or we can defer this to a later time. I have just a question that Councilman Hurst brought up. Do we pay for conferences or that for training candidates? I mean, regardless of who it is or what it is. I mean, if that's a main if that's the main point of the conference, is that something that we should be spending our money on? Or we can spend our money on? That would be the question. I'm looking at our attorney.
Well, so the city cannot spend money to support a particular campaign, but training candidates to run campaigns would likely not be prohibited. I'll note, too, that this particular conference does not necessarily seem focused on campaigning. So I do not think that there would be a legal barrier to using the funds for this particular purpose.
Thank you for looking at that. Yeah. All right. Good. Do we have any other motion?
I move to approve 10B.
Okay. Is there a second for that?
I'll second that.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any other comments?
I have a comment, Mayor. you know, I'm a member of the Democratic Party, but I do it on my own dime. I think, you know, a trip to Washington would be great. I'd love to go to the Democratic convention wherever it is, but I'm not asking the city to pay for it. And I don't think that we should pay for any of the council member to go to Washington to get trained to run for election or to solicit donations or learn how to do all the stuff that it's required to get elected. You do it on your own dime. And so I think it sets a bad precedent. I think it's not routine. I think it's the wrong approach. And so, you know, it'd be great to have a vacation. I don't know that I'd want to go to Washington in December, but that's another story. I just think it sets a poor precedent that future council members will want to go, you know, get this kind of election training, and it says right here on their website that this is the mission of the Victory Institute. And so that's my objection. We can take it or leave it.
Attorney Zettler, what about the Democratic Party? What if we wanted to go? I just, what would be appropriate other than something specifically for a city? You know, new laws, things like that.
So the campaign regulations, again, refer to a specific campaign. So I don't know, perhaps there's law specific to your question, but just running through the actual campaign regulations, if it were not related to a specific campaign, I don't know that it would be a problem. I've not researched that particular question, though, I will say.
Okay. All right. And hearing that, any other comments or questions? Okay. Roll call, please.
Estrada? Garcia?
Yes.
Hurst?
No.
Montesino?
Yes.
Quiroz Carter?
Yes.
And Parker?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Always good opportunities to learn.
Well, thanks for hearing me out.
So we're looking at, wait a second. Wait. I went to the end of my thing and that's it. Items removed from the consent agenda. I was expecting more. Okay, so any emergency items added to the agenda? No. Do we have any requests and scheduling for future agenda item, knowing we only have 1.5 meetings left?
I just like to talk about, you know, Green Valley safety improvements. Yeah, we keep, you know, I keep, you know, I'm on the road a lot at my work, and I'm on the road a lot because of my family. But you hear complaints, you hear community talking about, you know, the speed of traffic on Green Valley, and we just need to look at that that endeavor. So, thank you.
Very good. Councilwoman Quiroz Carter.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I want to echo Mayor Pro Tem Montesino's request and suggest that we have like a traffic informational update, because that is a huge concern in the community at large.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. Just an informational, a part of it is where the improvements are going to be, when that will be, and maybe we can even post that on our website. So, because we get many questions about that across the districts. Thank you. That will be great. Okay. And doing that, I think we have reached the end, and we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for coming.